everyone, welcome back to SPR Pythons. Today we've got a video just talking a little bit about why snakes and why ball pythons for me. So for this I mean, why did I choose to get into breeding snakes, and then why did I choose ball pythons specifically. But in order to do this I need a little bit of a history background sort of for the people that are new to the channel to sort of understand where I initially got the interest from. I have covered this in a video before, as you guys know. It's called SPR Pythons, the collection, the history, in which I go through all of the animals I've got here and give you a little bit of insight where they came from and what time they arrived in terms of like time in the year. So for example, you know, March or July, that sort of thing. So basically, I used to collect grass snakes, newts, stuff like that from in my garden and my nan's allotments, which was always sort of really cool. And I took an instant fascination to the idea of being able to find and control life and sort of make it thrive. Obviously I didn't keep the grass snakes or anything like that, but just, you know, it sounds crazy, but you know, I was a kid, and if I found a grass snake in my nan's sort of compost bin up the allotment on a Monday, and I went back there on a Friday and there was still one in there, I was convinced it was the same grass snake. Now chances are, looking back, it probably wasn't, but you know, that's where I got that mindset from. And then I got into the snakes specifically, more than the sort of lizards and four-legged things as well, through my auntie, who sort of had pretty much everything going in the reptile sort of world, you know, geckos, lizards, tortoises, tarantulas, spiders, same thing. But you know what I mean, like everything, you name it, and she had it at one point. But I specifically took an interest in the snakes due to a 2013 sort of epiphany, as I've mentioned before on the channel. When my auntie bred these corn snakes, and I bred them with her, and I had one of the babies, and it was like, wow, you know, we've brought these animals into the world, we're making sure they're feeding, because some of them were assist feeding and things like that, and it was fantastic really, and that's where I got my interest from. As I said, then I went on to get my corn snake, and a little bit later on the ball python. The ball python fascination really came from when she got her first pastel and spider back when they were not new morphs, but definitely still worth a lot more. I know that she paid a lot more than we would be paying for a pastel or a spider nowadays, sorry. But that was really where I got the idea of genetics, and that's the first thing that I want to highlight. But firstly, I need to say thank you to Mike and Lulu for the shirt. I said I'd wear it this week. Again, I won it in a cancer charity raffle, which was fantastic. I'm really happy to have won that. But yeah, so the first thing that really got me into the ball pythons was the genetics. And I might cover this on a further video if you guys want me to. I know there's a lot of videos out there. You know, Billy just did a fascinating video on it a couple of months ago about hets. But it's, yeah, as I said, the idea of genetics. So the fact that you can get codoms, doms, supers, recessives, you know, the homozygous, heterozygous, all of that sort of stuff really fascinated me. And as I say, I can cover that in more detail so that if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, I can try and help relay that to you. But that really got the sort of the brain matter working, and it really got me interested in thinking, right, if I need to create a homozygous, how do I do that with the heterozygous and things like that, and how can I mix some codominants into that? And the idea of being able to sort of control that is incredible to me. That's one of the main things that stood out to me. Another thing has to be the ability to meet people. I mentioned this in the video I did on Adam's channel, is just that ability, as I say, to create some amazing friends in this hobby that are there for you, not just in the hobby. You know, I have two friends that I can turn to now for life, I should think. And I can definitely turn to them with things that aren't even due to the hobby, you know, personal things, and being able to meet people like that in this hobby is incredible. But in terms of just the hobby itself, you know, there's people that I talk to that I only talk to for the snakes, but they're still incredible people, and it's really fascinating to talk to people on a daily basis just about snakes, which might sound crazy, but I literally do just talk about snakes pretty much my whole entire life at the minute, and it's absolutely perfect. You know, I wouldn't want it any other way. Speaking of which, I'll flash up some pictures now if I can find them. I did visit Darren and Eric last week, and it was nice of Tony Crawley to turn up from Ball Pythons R Us as well. And we just had a fantastic day to talking snakes. I got there for some silly time, like 10:30, and I didn't leave until nearly 5 o'clock. I was nearly there for 7 hours. Probably drove you wild, Darren, I'm sure. Eric disappeared as normal. No, I'm joking, Eric. But it was fantastic to see the boys. And then, as I say, for Tony to turn up, I've not seen Tony since, I don't know, maybe it was a September Doncaster or something like that. So it was fantastic to catch up with Tony as well. So much so, as you're watching this, I'm probably driving down to Chatham again, because I'm going to go down there. This time there's going to be a couple more people there. which I'm not sure when that will sort of be revealed, whether we're going to be doing any sort of like social media lives today or just recordings for different channels and stuff like that. It's going to be a really fascinating, fantastic day, and I'm really looking forward to it. As I say, spending the day just talking snakes is truly incredible, and hopefully that's exactly what I'm going to do again today. And I'm going to get to see some monitors for the first time. You know, I've seen a couple of Donny, or maybe I haven't, I don't know, maybe I'm getting confused with something else, but I'm going to pop into someone's on the way down and have a look at some monitors, which I'm actually really excited to see, because a monitor is something that once I've got more space, it might be not a necessity, but something that I look into, because monitors are really good sort of garbage bins for rodents, because I really hate throwing rodents away, and monitors pretty much eat them all the time. So that's sort of a good idea to keep these animals, and so that's something I probably will look into. So it'll be really exciting to get some, not hands-on experience, well maybe, I don't know, but at least you just see them. That's something really I'm looking forward to today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an animal out to talk about the next little section about why I like keeping ball pythons specifically, because it sort of ties in perfectly. So the next bit I want to talk about is the ability to oversee pairings. This is one of my favourite, if not my most sort of favourite part of the hobby, is being able to control the pairings you do and what you're going to create from that sort of thing. And I've got this animal out, and this is obviously the Enchy pinstripe, yellow belly, 100% heifer pied. You can see that pinstripe down the back there with the crazy sort of Enchy patterning on either side of it. And then, as I say, you've got the blushing from the yellow belly, and this girl also has a really nice yellow belly. You can see it's really sort of prominent, which is fantastic. It's exactly what I like to see in my yellow bellies. But talking about this girl, she's obviously gone over the banana gravel het pied to go for the highway pieds, and specifically the banana highway pieds. I want to see what a banana highway pied would look like. But being able to control what I'm doing with these animals, and just having that, as I say, that overview, that oversight, is absolutely incredible. And I suppose it ties back into those genetics again of being able to what I'm creating. But I absolutely love it, and that's one of my favourite things about the hobby. This girl is specifically for me going to be really one of my strong girls. I've spoken to a lot of people about this pairing, and a lot of people are excited about this pairing out of all of the ones I'm doing. I've even spoken to the likes of, you know, JKR about it. It's truly one of my standout pairings, not even just this year, but in future years if they don't give me sort of the top end combo, which would be some banana Enchy pinstripe highway pied. You know, there's going to be a lot of holdbacks involved in making sure that I get the best sort of odds for that going forward. But I'm rambling a little bit. That's definitely one of the reasons why I keep these animals. And also tying into that is the babies. I've not experienced it yet. I've only experienced it with the corn snakes in 2013, but the idea or the actual sort of reality of having those babies and being able to control the life of those babies, making sure they're stable, making sure they're shedding, feeding, you know, all of the sorts of things they need to do to thrive, having that control over that and seeing them sort of not succeed, but to grow from a tiny little baby in an egg, which you've sort of taken control of, all the way through to their first meal, their first shed, their first defecation, making sure that everything's doing as it should in their system is absolutely incredible. It's stressful, don't get me wrong, it can be stressful. Like for example, this week, I've turned my incubator back on because I'm expecting an ovulation at some point. I've not had the incubator on since I built it. I just wanted to make sure it's perfect. And I put a probe on each of my 4 levels. And one of them was reading incredibly high, and I thought, well, hang on, that's not right, because last year it was running perfectly. So I ended up moving the thermometers around, and this is a top tip for you guys. Moved the thermometers around and found that actually the top right corner wasn't peaking in temperature, it was just the thermometer was dodgy. And so that was reading really high, because I put it on one of the other shelves and it was still reading really high. And so that's where this comes in. I'm not sure if it's been picked up on the camera. I'm sure a few of you will wonder what it is. I can go through that in more detail, but it's a really, really cool tool that I've discovered thanks to David over at DNS Pythons, which is very, very good at what it does, and also gives me a nice little ambient temperature of the room, which is really handy as well. But yeah, I'll just get one of my other animals out now, just to talk a little bit more about that overseeing of pairings, and how it doesn't have to be a killer pairing, but it's still fascinating. So I've got this nice big girl out here who's just smashed over 3 kilos for us. It's obviously the normal het pied. This girl is building some really nice follicles, I think. I'll flash up a picture now that I saw of her yesterday morning, completely wrapped around her water bowl. As you can see, you know, she's looking a little bit uncomfortable, and yeah, I'm really hoping this girl goes for us, because that's another one to try and create that Enchy fire pied. And I'm just trying to look if she's a little bit rounded. She's not really too rounded at the minute, as you can see, but from that image I can definitely tell she's building follicles. And I'm not going to palpate her to find out how many or anything like that, because I don't want to put extra stress on the girl. But you can see she's doing really well. But back to sort of the white ball pythons. This is another reason, you know, that sort of, what would you call it, variety in size. You know, from the babies obviously, but even as adults, you know, you get males that are, you know, 700 grams to 1,000 or bigger, you know, it doesn't really matter. But you've got females that are 1 kilo and, you know, breeding at 1.5, 1.6. But then you get up to some girls like this that get nice and big and chunky. And it's like that middle ground between this and like a boa or something like that, I suppose, that's really big. And it's you know, I like that about the ball pythons as well. But back to, as I said, the pairings, it doesn't have to be a killer pairing to get me excited. So for example, this girl is just a normal het pied, and she's going over the super inchy fire het pied to try and get that inchy fire pied. And even that's incredible to me, because I'm still working on those odds, I'm still working on the idea of hets, and I'm still working on the idea of co-dominance, and in this case supers. And that again fascinates me. You really are probably getting an idea in this video that the genetics is really behind one of my biggest reasons for having a passion for this. It's truly incredible, the idea of being able to control it, and as I said, I've mentioned it enough times, it's truly one of those things that keeps me in this hobby and really gets me excited about this hobby, and not just my own animals but others as well. You know, so for example, speaking to Darren and Eric last week and talking about their pairings, even that excited me. And it's not my animals, but it's just the idea of what they can create and what I'm gonna, you know, what my friends can create, as I say, and seeing what comes out of them, and that for me is incredible. But anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. I'm recording this on Sunday morning as you're seeing it, for a change. Normally I pre-record it, but we had a little bit of an issue technically this week where I did lose the footage. You know, unfortunately it happens sometimes, I presume, but I didn't want to leave you guys without a video for the week, because I promise you weekly videos. So I am recording this on the morning, and I should probably get a move on, because the guy that I'm going to meet on the way down to Darren's is expecting me in like an hour, and it's about a 45-minute drive, so I really do need to get my skates on. But I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Let us know in the comments why you keep these animals and why specifically ball pythons. Speaking of the comments, I thank you so much. Last week I asked about information about how you guys keep your rodents on a full-time contract and stuff like that, and I got an unbelievable amount of sort of comments, and also Instagram DMs and stuff like that. It was truly brilliant insight. Insight that I can come back to when I do eventually get rodents that will help me, sort of thing, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, if you've liked today's video, leave it a like, leave a comment, as I say, and turn the subscription bell on. Well, turn the subscribe on, and also the notification bell. And yeah, I'll see you next week for another video, guys. Thank you very much, and take care.